Okay, so let's get into these Teresa Giudice comments about the future of Real Housewives in New Jersey.
Yeah, there's definitely been some talk.
The big takeaway seems to be she's really confident she's coming back for season 15, even though the show's on pause right now.
Yeah, and she specifically brought up BravoCon, said something like, obviously if I'm going to BravoCon, you know what that means.
Using that appearance as confirmation.
Exactly. For people who follow this stuff, BravoCon attendance is usually a pretty solid sign you're still in the mix.
Gotcha. And what about the pause itself? Did she talk about why it's happening?
She did, yeah. She used this phrase. Something about needing a break sometimes to weed out the bad stuff and bring it back.
Weed out the bad stuff. Wow. Okay.
And she didn't just leave it there. She actually compared the situation to Atlanta, the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh, interesting. What was the comparison?
She basically pointed out that Atlanta took a similar break, had some changes, and then, came back successfully.
So she's framing this pause for Jersey as maybe strategic, potentially positive.
Seems like it. Like maybe it's a way to refresh things, just like she felt Atlanta did.
Okay. And speaking of refreshing things, casting changes. Did she touch on that?
She did. She was asked about new blood coming onto the show. Said she would hope so. Seemed pretty open to it.
Really? Did she say why?
Yeah, she described herself as a girl's girl. Said she likes meeting new people.
So maybe hoping for some fresh faces she can connect with better.
That could be the implication, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially given her comments about other relationships.
Right. Okay, let's go there. The Gorgas, Melissa and Joe.
Yeah, the sources were very clear on this point.
What did she say?
She basically drew a really hard line, said that chapter is closed.
Just closed.
And never reopening. That was the key phrase. Never reopening.
Wow. Okay. For a show built on that dynamic for so long, that's huge.
Absolutely massive. If she's back and that door is truly permanently shut, it changes the whole landscape of the show.
And flowing from that.
Yeah.
What about the kids, her niece and nephews, Antonia, Gino, Joey?
The sources mentioned she hasn't really stayed in touch with them.
Okay, so that connection is also severed, it sounds like.
Seems that way, based on what was reported. But she did apparently wrap up by saying she's happy with her current family.
Meaning?
Her 4 daughters, her husband, Luis Ferrelis, and his 2 sons. She expressed being happy with that specific family unit she has now.
Right. Okay, so let's dive into this first batch. We've got updates directly from Kyle Richards. And the big question everyone seems to have, someone asked her this recently, is Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 15 filming yet?
And she answered that on her Amazon Live, right? The answer was nope.
A clear no. So yeah, cameras aren't rolling for RHOBH just yet.
That way it always happens with these shows, doesn't it? Fans are always looking for any little sign.
Totally. But even though production's not happening, Kyle did share some personal things on that live session, like an update on Teddi Mellencamp's health.
Oh, right. How's she doing?
She said Teddy's doing so much better, which is great. Still has, good days and bad days, but definitely progress. Good to hear.
Absolutely. People have followed her health journey, so yeah, that's positive news.
Now, relationship-wise, specifically with Garcelle Beauvais, Kyle confirmed she has not heard from Garcelle at all.
Still nothing.
Nope. She said everybody's kind of perplexed, like she doesn't know what happened there herself. Seems like that connection is just paused. And speaking of changes, Kyle gets asked about stopping drinking, like all the time. She addressed it again, saying she doesn't think she'd ever drink again. And the main reason, she just doesn't miss it.
That's a big commitment, and yeah, it seems like a significant shift for her.
She did admit missing it slightly sometimes. Like having wine outside or drinks with the other women before a filming trip. Small moments.
Relatable moments, sure.
But she added that caveat, which felt really practical. I don't want to say never, because I don't want to have that hanging over me. Like keeping it real about a big life change.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off. It's a nuanced way to talk about it. Makes sense.
So what about her and Dorit Kemsley? We've heard so much about that friendship lately.
Okay, good news there, apparently. Kyle said very clearly, Dorit and I, thank God we are good. So that makes me happy.
Oh, okay, so they're good.
Yeah. She said they haven't seen each other much because of both of our schedules, but they did connect at LEKC engagement dinner recently. So seems solid.
That's probably a relief for people who watch the show. Any word on Kim Richards?
Kyle said Kim's doing okay. And fun little tidbit, Kyle, Kim, and the girls are going to be on Celebrity Family Feud soon.
Oh, that could be interesting. Now, shifting gears a bit, a fan suggested maybe reconciling with Lisa Vanderpump, saying life is too short.
How did Kyle respond?
She was, gracious, agreed life is too short, but then she kind of pivoted, saying she has a lot of other things I need to fix first.
So acknowledging it, but LVP isn't top of the list right now.
Pretty much. Sounds like other relationships are the priority for fixing. Makes sense with everything else going on.
Yeah, that's a pragmatic answer. And finally, BravoCon came up. What did she think about that whole experience?
She called it a lot and extremely overwhelming with a lot of people, which, I mean, sounds about right.
Yeah, it looks intense. But did she find any positives in it?
Absolutely. She mentioned really loving connecting with fans she recognizes from online. Said after years of interacting, it feels like she actually knows them.
Okay, so that personal connection makes the chaos worth it for her.
Seems like it.
Next update we have about this report that's been buzzing around.
Ah, the Erika, Jayne, and Jesse Solomon one?
Exactly. Naturally, Andy Cohen had something to say.
Of course he did. US Weekly caught him at Hoda Kapad's event.
And his take.
Pure Andy. He just said, I am in favor of everyone hooking up.
Doesn't confirm, doesn't deny, just leans into the fun of it all.
Exactly his style.
Now, we should add some important context here about Jesse.
Right, because this news drops after he faced accusations on the show.
Specifically of gaslighting Lexi Wood.
Yeah, and Lexi actually called Jesse dangerous to date on the show.
So that's definitely background to keep in mind with this rumor.
For sure.
Okay, next update we have about, a potential new Real Housewives series.
Ooh, which one?
Rhode Island, RHORI. And the buzz involves Dolores Catania from New Jersey maybe appearing.
Interesting. What's Andy saying about that?
Well, US Weekly asked him, and his first reaction was kind of cautious. Like, you know what? We haven't even started shooting yet.
So very early days, nothing set in stone.
Right. But the reports kept coming. One source suggested Dolores might pop up because she has authentic roots there.
Authentic roots in Rhode Island.
The idea floated was maybe she'd, set a tone, but not as an official cast member, sort of a franchise ambassador.
Like leveraging a known face to launch a new city. That makes sense strategically.
But then Andy talked to people and seemed to dial it back a bit.
Oh. What does he say then?
He said the Dolores rumor has been a little overstated.
Oh, okay.
And he stressed the show is really about who's in Rhode Island, focusing on the local aspect.
Right. Keep it authentic to the place. So maybe Dolores' background fits that vibe, even if she's not core cast.
Possibly. It seems like they're exploring ways to connect franchises, maybe use familiar faces, but still keep it grounded locally. It's a balancing act.
Yeah, and these casting rumors often get way ahead of the actual production, but they do kind of show you what Bravo might be thinking about.
Definitely. Okay, next update we have about someone we know well, Kim Zolciak.
Ah, Kim. What's the latest?
Well, she's been addressing fan questions about her appearance, specifically her hair.
Oh, right. She posted photos on Instagram showing her real hair.
Yeah, she said she got so many questions about it.
And she was pretty clear in the captions, wasn't she?
Very.
Yeah.
Yes, this is all my real hair. And then later, real hair, don't care.
Which is, quite a turnaround from her early RHOA days.
Totally. Wigs were such a huge part of her thing back then. Remember the Cherie Whitfield incident?
Who could forget? Iconic. Pulled her wig right off.
But this hair update comes at a really tough time for her personally.
The divorce from Croy Bierman.
Yeah.
The financial struggles, the tax debt reports.
And she's moved out of their shared home now.
Right. So this real hair post is happening against that backdrop of major life upheaval.
And she's spoken a bit about the challenges, hasn't she? Like the new family dynamic.
Yeah, getting the kids to football practice. She mentioned on Instagram it's tough.
What did she say?
Something about having to be up at 5:30 a.m. and because she moved, she's not in the school district anymore.
Oh, wow. So lots of driving.
Yeah, she called getting the kids places the most challenging thing right now.
And her daughter, Ariana, talked about it too, didn't she? In a US Weekly interview.
She did. She mentioned Kim just moved into a new place and is doing really great, which sounds positive.
But she also acknowledged how long the divorce is dragging on.
Yeah, she said something like 2.5 years and it's still not even almost done.
Wow. That really puts the stress into perspective.
And Ariana said something really sweet about her mom.
Called Kim her best friend and said she's excited for her mom to just be a mom. She told Kim, it's your first time in this world too, so I'll be your mom sometimes when you need it.
It's incredibly touching. And even with showing the real hair, the sources noted she's still into wigs. Talked about making one with curtain bangs recently.
So maybe not a complete goodbye to the wigs then.
Seems like it.
Next update we have about
Lala Kent versus Jesse Lally.
That's the one. Specifically about Jesse's behavior towards his estranged wife, Michelle Sané.
Viewers saw Lala confront him on the show, calling his behavior toxic.
Yep. And then it all spilled over onto the Valley after show.
And Lala really didn't hold back there.
The sources say she called Jesse Lally a fucking clown.
Wow. And a narcissist.
Yeah, accusing him of being manipulative, trying to control Michelle through the divorce and custody stuff with their daughter, Isabella.
And Lala thinks he uses the daughter. Or threats about moving.
That was her take, yeah. That he might do that just to get an emotional rise out of Michelle.
And she described what she sees as narcissistic behavior, too.
She did. Things like having a skewed perception of reality, using smoke and mirrors, making someone feel like they've gone crazy.
Okay. Now, it's probably important to remember Lala's own history here.
Absolutely. Her own very public, very bitter custody battle with Randall Emmett. That's huge context.
It definitely shapes her perspective and why she's so fired up about this. She even recommended her lawyer to Michelle, right?
She did. So she's deeply invested, drawing on her own difficult experience.
Which makes sense. So what did Michelle say about all this on the after show? Was she okay with Lala jumping in?
Oh, yeah. She seemed really thankful. Said she appreciated Lala having her back.
Did she agree with Lala's take on Jesse?
She admitted she sometimes feels she lets Jesse treat her badly, and she loved that moment when Lala confronted him.
Okay. And did she reflect on the marriage itself?
She did. She said Jesse had total control over me, that it was all about Jesse and nothing about me.
And she thinks he's struggling now because that dynamic has changed.
That was her suggestion, yeah. Now that she's left and finding her independence.
So that's Michelle's side. What about Jesse? He must have had a response on the after show, too.
He absolutely did, and offered a very different perspective.
How so?
He pushed back hard on Michelle's claim that he was controlling.
Okay. So what was his explanation for, say, wanting to know where she was?
He framed it purely as safety and emergency reasons, post-separation, not about control.
Right.
He did concede that he did run a lot of aspects of our life when they were married.
But he insisted it wasn't to manipulate or hurt her. More like, that's just how they divided things up.
That seems to be his framing, yes. So, completely different interpretations of the same history.
Wow. Two totally opposing narratives.
And then, to add another layer to this whole narcissist conversation, Brittany Cartwright brought something up on the after show.
Oh. About Jax.
Yeah. She shared that her estranged husband, Jax Taylor, was apparently diagnosed with narcissism.
Diagnosed. Like, clinically.
According to Brittany, yes. At a mental health facility. She said the facility told them they could treat other things, like depression.
But what? They couldn't change the narcissism.
That's what she reported them saying. We'll never be able to change his narcissism. So quite a journey through the Bravoverse today.
Yeah.